Yeah, I was just
We are
joining groups.
live. We are
I was just
live.
peace,
Oh,
everyone.
peace, everybody. Today is Thursday. We're back again. Hope everybody had a great week. This is Mayat TV-DMV, Mayat University. We are going to have a great show tonight. I'm going to do our little intro because I need some music. It's been a long day for me. Say hi to everybody, Abdul.
Peace, everyone. Beta Makem. Assalamu alaikum. Salam.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shout out to the artist, DMV trap rapper. He's called Ethan Spalding. Check him out on YouTube. Ethan Spalding. Homage to everyone. Homage, homage, homage. All right, let's go. I need to wind down. What a day.
Yes, we're gonna start with the words. All right. Yes, everyone. This is our weekly lesson on etymology. Right, etymology. Today's lesson would be the family of words. We're gonna look at root words that mean look or see. Root words that mean look or see from four different families. From four different families, root words that look that mean look or see. Now, this method will help the children and you increase your vocabulary. This is not a random list. It's not a random list. We're teaching vocabulary in a systematic way. So this is very important. So let's look at here. Root words that mean look or see. Root words in the same family. So we have the Latin roots vis, vid. The English form of the Latin, the letter V in Latin transliterates or changes to the letter W in English. So we have the English form, WIS, whiz, and wit, WIT. Now, so VIS, viz, vid, whiz, and wit are all in the same family. They're all in the same. These four are in the same family of words. I mean, they all have the same Indo-European root. I have to explain that later another time because I got to show you. All right, but they're all in it. We're gonna just say right now they're all in the same family. All right, they are cousins. All right, they're cognates. They're called cognates, or we will use cousins. They're all in the same family. Then we have the Latin roots in the same family: scope, spic, and spec. We have the Latin roots in the same family: op, oc, and opto. So we have example: whiz, wisdom; wit, witness; viz, vision; television; envision; provision. If you could think of some words, all right, throw them in the chat. Throw some words in the chat. Vid, video. I have video twice. Videography. We have spec, inspector, gadget. Inspector gadget. All right. Go, specter, go. All right. Inspection, retrospect, introspect, suspect. So let's look. Inspector, one who looks into things, as in Inspector Gadget. Inspection, is the you add the tion. In retrospect means look back, look backwards. Retro's backwards, look backwards. Introspect, all right? You look within. Intro within, spec. Look within. Suspect, suspect. Sus is the prefix that means under or below. So suspect. We have scope, telescope, microscope. Spec, conspicuous, conspicuous, suspicious. Oc, binocular, ocular. And we had a couple of these, actually you had a few of these root words and 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
2
Yeah.
weeks ago. Yes, we did. We had binocular, we had telescope, microscope. What else we had? What other word did we have? It was just those three. We have ocular, so optic, something that's optic that can, what is the optics on this? So that can be that's visible. Is it clear? Optical. Optometrist, what they call an eye doctor. An eye doctor is known as an optometrist. So you have any additional words? Put them in the chat. Let's see where we have. What about, let's give them an opportunity to put words in the chat. And this can be, this structure here can be used to teach your children as well as yourself. All right. And I have my etymology book, my etymology vocabulary. So to get the etymology and vocabulary book, go to, you see on there, mooresandmasonry.org. So these lessons are in my books, etymology and vocabulary. And etymology and vocabulary is the first book that deals with the systematic way of building vocabulary. This is a systematic way. So this is dealing with the words. In this case, 4 different families. These are root words that mean look and see from 4 different families. And these root words from these 4 different families generates thousands of words. So this is a basis in which one can build one's vocabulary with a systematic and structured way of learning vocabulary. This is not a random list where you just throw a bunch of words together, you're just listing words, and that there's no commonality or no structure. It's easy to remember things that are related, that are within in this case in the same family, right?
Brother Abdullah,
I said, you have any questions? You want?
you said you wanted people to put
Oh
words in
yes,
the
yes I
chat.
do.
So we
Absolutely.
have
Yeah.
Sister Valerie said octopus, October, and occult. OCCULT. Octopus, October, and occult.
All right. Now, octopus, octo is it's OCTO. It means 8. It's OCTO. OC, not OC, it's OCTO. Octo, October, octopus. So that wouldn't go because that means 8. Octo, OCTO.
Okay.
This is OC, as in binocular, ocular. All right. You have another one? Good try.
Occult.
Occult. Yeah, occult.
OCCULT.
Yep. OC, and occult. Yes.
And occupy.
Occupy. All right. We have the OC and occupy. All right, good. In this case, so any others?
Not yet.
All right. I don't want to give out. I mean, I got more in my head, of course. Give y'all a chance to use your noggins. Use the noggins, y'all. Vision, television, improvise. I mean, ooh. And I didn't mean to say that. Envision, provision. So since I said it, improvise. Improvise is another one. You know, improvise. IMPROVISE. Someone, all right, so we have someone a who sees things in a different way from other people is known as a someone who has an idea of seeing they see things in a certain in different ways than the general public or than the is known as a someone or you are a got just give some clues.
Um, see things in a different way.
Someone who has like great insight into things. They're known as a and they see maybe certain things in the future or they have great ideas the that people that don't normally come up with. They're known as a all right, let me we have what about scope here? Anyone for scope? We have telescope, right? Telescope and microscope.
Oh, back to your last question. Someone said philosopher,
Well, would have to have the a root word. It has to have one of these root words.
visionary,
There you go. There you go. That's it.
Valerie.
Visionary. Go ahead.
All
Yep.
right,
Yep.
sis, represent the goddesses.
There you go. Yep. Visionary. That vision. See, visionary. Yeah. Philosopher doesn't have. You know, we have the philos, love, philosopher, wisdom, Sophie, wisdom, philos, and Sophie. All right. And what else? We have telescope, microscope. We have conspicuous, suspicious. Someone who looks, um, someone who's looks through things and can see through things. Great insight, see through. Um, it would actually wouldn't be someone to become. It would be a state or condition. This in case would be a state or condition of seeing something thoroughly, seeing situations or things thoroughly, or seeing through things, situations. Uh, so we have the prefix that means through or thoroughly. What is that? And we have I'll I'll give another one without giving that out right now. So we have here. All right, let's look at a spec. 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 All right, someone who is all right, someone who see people who watches an event. They are known as they
Spectator.
watch spectator. All right. Something that is that looks so overwhelming. That looks so great. You do something that's great or looks great. That is
Spectacular.
spectacular. Right, see? Spectacular.
Oh,
Place
Valerie
where
said, Abdul, what's the prefix? Valerie said, what's the prefix?
no, there's no prefix.
No prefix.
The root word is spec. Just keep in mind the root word. All right, spectacular. All right, I should have just given before I said that. There's no. All right, spectacular. Spectator. Spec. That's the root word.
Okay.
That's the beginning of the word. Spectacular. Spectator. So every word doesn't have a prefix. Every word doesn't have a prefix. Just like vision. Vision doesn't have a prefix. Witness doesn't have a prefix. Wisdom doesn't have a prefix. Videography doesn't have a prefix. Video doesn't have a prefix. All right? Optical doesn't have a prefix. Optic doesn't have a prefix. They have suffixes, but they don't have prefixes. All right? Anyone else? Do we have a question? Is there a question? Or
Not yet.
Not yet? So I want to take time to fill questions and also give them opportunity to come up with their own words to get them to think. All right? We have that word is a word that I was talking about, being able to see through things or see things thoroughly. It's called state or condition. It's called perspicacious. Perspicacious. Like I heard that first time I heard perspicacious was in the TV show, either a movie or TV show. And it was a little boy, I think a 9-year-old boy, and he said, "You're so perspicacious. You're so perspicacious." Per, P-E-R, through or thoroughly, spicacious, ish. All right. O-U-S, in this case, U-O-U-S, means state of, condition of, or process of. So when someone says if I'm saying to you, Sister Najma, you're perspicacious. You're so perspicacious.
Mm-hmm.
You're so perspicacious. You have great insight. You are on a subject. You know, you be able to see things thoroughly. All right, thoroughly or through. See, you're so perspicacious. All right, so that's the word for y'all, perspicacious. Perspicous. Perspicacious. I gave the word improvise. When someone is improvising, what are they doing? So like the jazz artists, was called improvisation. There's a section in jazz the improvisation, they just on the spot. All right, so when one who improvises, what do they have? They have some vision. Improvise. So you have two prefixes. The first prefix is pro, which is the first prefix, is closer to the root word. The first prefix is closer to the root word, and the root word is viz. And then the second prefix, so we have pro is the first prefix, m is the second prefix. So pro four or fourth, and improvise, m means into. So you're seeing into something that is that when you say forth, you're going forth and presenting that which you see. So improvise. Something that they're doing something on the spot. Creating. Because keep in mind, you have your inner sight too. Your inner sight. You have your sight with your third eye. So you have your inner seeing. Any questions? Review what I did 2 weeks ago. Review the lesson that I presented 2 weeks ago. Is that 2 weeks ago? Yes. Yeah, we didn't do one last week. Sister Najma suggested I do a lesson for the first 30 minutes. So that's what we're going to do. So the first 30 minutes of the presentation, we're going to start off with etymology and semantics. I'm going to also teach semantics, but and I'm going to structure for children. You know, I wanted to present this list because this is not random. This is not a random. This is not a random way of. I'm not teaching vocabulary in a random, unstructured, unsystematic way. That's not. I don't teach that way.
We have some more comments. Astro, Astro, and then to make something up, figure it out, to make or do something using whatever you have. Improvise.
Improvise. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. But to do that, you need what? That takes what? That takes thinking. That takes sight. That takes vision. Inner vision. There's a vision is still connected to that. Because that's what's involved to be able to do that. Right? Anyone else? Any other comments, questions, comments, any other words to add to the list? Suspicious, conspicuous. When someone is just conspicuous, let's look at conspicuous. You're conspicuous. What does that mean? You're conspicuous. What does conspicuous mean? You see the root word spic. We know that has to do something with seeing, looking. Inconspicuous. So you're inconspicuous. You're inconspicuous. You're conspicuous. On the other hand, he's inconspicuous. On one hand, you're all right. Sometimes you're conspicuous. Other times you're inconspicuous. All right. So let's do a review here. We have words. We have four family of words. We have four families here. Four family of words. We have the viz and vid, and whiz and wit. Whiz and wit is the English form of the Latin form viz and vid. We have the family of words scope, spick, and spec. The third family, OP, oc, and opto. All right. So we got one, actually three family of words. One, yeah. Vid, whiz, and wit is one family. Scope, spec, and spick and spec is second family, and the third family is oc, and opto. So these 10 root words, these 10 root words all have the same meaning, but but like I said, it's coming from three different family of words. Coming from three different family of words, there's 10, these 10 root words, and they generate thousands of words. All right, so we're going to be transitioning. So you want to put the other screen up, Najma? We can transition. All right, once again, go to mooresandmasonry.org to get my etymology and vocabulary book, as well as my etymology and vocabulary supplementary book, mooresandmasonry.org. Again, it's on the screen here. We also have the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. We have tons of classes on there. Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. All right, Brother Shem will be joining us shortly. I'm going to read. All right, this is from Moors and Masonry Part 2. This is from Moors and Masonry Part 2. All right, Chapter 8. This is part 3, which is chapters 8, 9, 10, 11. Part 3 of Moors and Masonry Part 3 of Moors and Masonry Part 2. All right, which includes chapter 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so this is chapter 8 here. Remedy, bringing the Moorish bilateral treaty. So what we're doing is setting the stage. Today's topic is removing the presumption and assumption that Moors are United States citizens, right? That's conscious Moors and unconscious Moors. Removing the assumption and presumption that Moors are United States citizens. So we need a structure, a political structure to facilitate that, right? We have remedy, bringing the Moorish bilateral treaties outlined in Moors and Masonry, Part 1, to political life. Restoring the Moorish government platform to address the 500-year-old papal decree of Inter Caetera Divina on March 4th, 1493. European conquest, subjugation, colonization, acquisition, quote unquote, acquisition of territory, loss of Moorish sovereignty, mass denationalization of the Moors, genocide, linguistic and biological warfare, the continued crusades and inquisition against the Moors. This is important because this language invokes international law. This language, these terms that I've used that are on here, invoke international law. It guides us. Uh, let me explain. Right, it's important. I'm going to explain every step of the way. You have law of peace and law of war. Law of peace and law of war. So we have two categories in international law: peace and war. So this falls under war. So here is restoring the Moorish government platform to address. We restored to address the category of war, which is the papal decree, all right, of Intercatera Divina, European conquest and subjugation, colonization. All right. Now we're going to use law of peace, which is the recovery of lost sovereignty. So we have here lost sovereignty, lost Moorish sovereignty falls under the category, in this case, loss of sovereignty under war. Recovery of lost sovereignty falls under peace. So that's that's reversing the process. Major points in part 3. Is Shem with us now? Seek major points in part 3. Seek for the enforcement of the international law principle of post-millennium, the restoration, the restoring and returning of a people held in slavery to their original condition. Address the continued enslavement and subjugation of the Moors, classified as Black, Negro, Colored, and African American through the 14th Amendment of 1868. Recover the lost Moorish sovereignty. Use Moorish treaties as the legacy for protection for the Moors and evidence for the claims for the recovery of lost Moorish sovereignty and re-entering the family of nations as an old and original state under the reversion of sovereignty. Enforce Moorish bilateral treaties of the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. Reestablish diplomatic and consular relations with the European kingdoms and nations with which Morocco negotiated treaties during the 15, 16, and 1700s. That's England, France, Portugal, Spain, Sardinia, the Dutch Republic, Belgium, all right, and you have the United States. So this sets the stage. We got to get Moors on this level of thinking. What's been happening, my brothers and sisters, and I was one of them. 25 years. Raise my hand. 25 years. What's happening is conscious Moors have been attempting to recover lost Moorish sovereignty by using United States courts and United States laws, United States Constitution, and United States departments. These topics are outside of the jurisdiction of the United States. This is international law. So this has to be addressed in the international arena, not in United States courts, United States agencies, not United States laws. So we got to get this presentation, and we'll continue with this as we continue to teach these principles, is to get to facilitate Moors into this area of thinking. All right, now next page. The Chip, let me is Shem with us?
Not yet.
All right. Summaries for, I'll just read chapter 8 here. Sorry. Well, I'm going to read all of them. Summaries for chapters 8, 9, 10, 11. All right. The Shem Malachi Bey's proposal, chapter 8, the Shem Malachi Bey's proposal and plan is to revise the diplomatic, consular, and treaty relations with the European kingdoms and nations with which the Moroccan Empire negotiated treaties during the 15, 16, 17, 1800s by facilitating the recovery of the lost Moorish sovereignty through the restoration of Moorish national political unity in a provisional temporary capacity until a national plebiscite of our people can be facilitated. Chapter 9, the excerpts of compensatory extraterritorial coastal jurisdiction treaty clauses provide guidance to Moorish treaty protection and consultations of the Moorish bilateral treaties outlined in Moors and Masonry Part 1. Chapter 10, the procedures for the enforcement of Moorish treaties through diplomatic channels, central authority, consular relations, consular notification, letter of rogatory, writ of quo warranto, petition for removal, and Moorish consular courts. Chapter 11, restoring the knowledge of Moorish nationality among Moorish students in the Camden City Public Schools classified as Black, Negro, Colored, and African American in the United States Census Bureau and the Commerce Department. All right. So this is part 3, 8, 9, 10, 11 is part 3 of Moors and Masonry part 2. All right. So we're just setting the stage here. Next. Shem Malachi Bey's proposal. All right. Shem Malachi Bey's proposal for the restoration of Moorish. I guess you know what? Go to the that page that the section that I was we talked about earlier. We're gonna start there. Yes. This is the beginning of the chapter. While you're doing that, I'm gonna call Shem. All right. All right, so continuing. Shem Malachi Bey's proposal and plan for facilitating the restoration of Moorish national political unity through political legitimacy, the consent of the people, the will of the people, and re-entering the family of nations as an old and original state. Shem Malachi Bey's proposal for a call for national Moorish political unity through political legitimacy, the consent of the people, and the will of the people. The Treaty of Liberty and the Moorish Imperial Parliament Council. Our people, native Moors, classified as Black, Negro, Colored, and African American in the United States Census Bureau of the Commerce Department, must acknowledge the principles of our ancestors of the earlier civilization of ecclesiastical orders empires, kingdoms, tribes, confederations, caliphats, and emirates. Treaty of Liberty, the proposal agreement to bring the various Moorish bodies politic into one Moorish central governing body. The Moorish body politic coming together, forming an alliance as a national government body in friendship and peace to protect each other and have international relations. Restore the matrilineal and matriarchal principles of our ancient ancestors for culture and philosophy independence among the various Moorish communities of houses forming their governments, restoring the original intent through linguistics and etymology, facilitate commerce and trade among each other, realign ourselves with the principles of the law of nations, public international law, exercise our pre-existing sovereignty, form a union of peace, restore our political allegiance to a cultural identity, engage in commerce and peace. Is that Shem?
Yes.
You got sound in the background. What's going on?
Not me. I didn't sound in the background.
I hear it's a lot of noise. A lot of noise.
I'm on mute. It can't be me. I'm on mute.
All right. Engage in commerce and peace among ourselves. Facilitate salvation and redemption, political strategies to enforce the international law, principle of post-millennium, restoring and returning to our original conditions before. Right, next page. Before European doctrine of discovery, conquest, slavery, subjugation, servitude, captivity, and bondage. Shem, can you elaborate on the Moorish?
Go ahead. I can hear you.
Yes, distracting though, bro. You gotta go to another section of the house.
It's not me, bro. My phone's on. I put it while you talking. I'm on mute, bro. It's not me.
Yeah, but I need you off of mute now. I need you off of mute because
I can hear you, brother. I can hear you, brother. It's not me in the background. It's somebody else.
I'm gonna give you the floor in 30 seconds. You got the floor in 30 seconds.
Got you.
Can you explain? Can you expand on the Treaty of Liberty, the Moorish Imperial Parliament Council, and the Treaty of Liberty? Can you expand on that?
The Treaty of Liberty was to bring all the Moorish provincial governments back together among ourselves and form an alliance, become under one school of thought, one ideology, and one school of thought was though we remind each other affairs based on our own intellectual knowledge, meaning deal with language first. Because you have to understand that, look at history. In order to correct what happened in the past, you have to face now. That's how I look at it. In order to correct what happened in the past, you must construct now. You must face now. What's going on now? If you heal now, you already healed the past. You can't go back in the past and straighten anything out. You got to correct now what's happening now. And I noticed by looking back, all the nations that rule, clans and tribes that rule, all of them came up with a syntax, culture, language structure among themselves. That was to govern themselves. In that society among themselves, the syntax language control what the inheritance, control of action, control real substance, control how they conduct business among themselves. The moment somebody come outside, invade them and capture them and change the language, It changed the syntax, the sound, the tinkling, the communication. Once that's erupted, you control the people now because you can place upon them another vice. Our job is to come together, not only in the Treaty of Peace, is to come together as physically, we want to come together symbolically, syntax in the mind, thinking. We're coming a syntax way of communicating among ourselves with the proper concepts, the proper norms, and the proper ideologies to make the proper decisions when we sign an autograph on this treaty. Restore back to us among ourselves. See, we have to restore honor among ourselves. We don't honor each other. That's one thing about it. We do not honor each other. We honor outsiders. We have to come among ourselves and honor each other as a political body and a community among ourselves. When we do that, we restore the matriarch principle now, because we can turn back to our mother, the land, the country. Now we turn back to our mother and get the heritage what our mother established, Morocco and Northwest Africa established centuries ago, hundreds of years ago. We established what? She established wealth, security, protection, benefits for us. In order to inherit that, we gotta go all the way back, come among ourselves and gather ourselves together into one national government, and then we go back and nourish back on our mother. We turn back to our mother now for nourishment. That's a true principle of respecting the matriarch principle, is to turn back to what nourished you. What nourished our people for hundreds of thousands of years. The land, the earth, the political territory of the earth, geographical territory of the earth, where we come out of. So we got the treaty brings us together collectively as a bargaining body, collective bargaining body, to restore first among ourselves, so the outside world can look and say, wait a minute, these are people that came together in allegiance and alliance among themselves to form their own syntax. See, when we come together and sign a treaty, when we sign under a language, the terminology and the verbiage in the language, we consent to that. That's syntax. Yes, we consent to a language, a communication concept, communication skills among ourselves that we're going to sign, honor each other. If anybody don't honor this treaty, then we don't honor them. That's how it goes. Because they're not honoring the concept of what we've written down on paper. Everything starts from writing. If you control the writings, you control the people. That's it. Professor Abdullah, you control the language, the writings, you control the people. Everybody in life relies on what? A book or classroom, education. What is education? Symbols, sound, words are sounds, neurons, the brain, the thinking. The neurons you're speaking, then what's the carving? Then you got carving on paper. That's your design. That's your autograph. You autograph it on paper, which you mean you're sculpturing a language. They're called hieroglyphics. Your fingers are carving on paper through ink or scrolls or whatever it may be. You are carving on paper a syntax, communication skills among each other. That if you're not speaking it, we can read it on language. So this is what we have to establish among ourselves. Anything you want to add to the professor?
No. Good, brother. Good. Imperial Parliament Council facilitated by the Treaty of Liberty. I'm going to read and I want you to elaborate. Imperial Parliament Council facilitated by the Treaty of Liberty. The Imperial Parliament Council facilitated through the Treaty of Liberty would be, if agreed upon, by the various Moorish governments, the formation of one central provisional temporary national government made up of a host of Moorish bodies, politic, setting the political platform for the restoration of the national sovereignty of Morocco. This would constitute political legitimacy, which is an essential principle expressing the consent of our people and the formation of legitimate government. The sovereignty is vested in the Moorish population and the various Moorish communities. Let me explain. Before Shem explains, I want to explain the use of provisional. We don't need millions of our people to become conscious to do this, to facilitate this. Okay? But we need a population of millions to facilitate, to restore a national, permanent Man, that is distracting.
Yeah, I know, but how many people are?
Shem, that's your brother. That's your brother talking in the background. Put your phone on mute. You got to go to it. It's distracting.
All right.
Go to another section of the house or so. It's like because it's important that people can, really pay attention to, be able to,
Go ahead. I'm gonna read. Go ahead.
All right, good. All right. The reason why I'm explaining the use of the word provisional. We don't need millions. We don't need hundreds of thousands. We don't need tens of thousands to facilitate, to structure a national government body, governing body in a provisional capacity. You would need that. You would need the million of conscious Moors population if you are facilitating a permanent structure. This is provisional in that we can address the centuries of European colonization of our land, genocide, linguistic genocide, biological genocide, the conquest, subjugation of our people, mass denationalization of our people. We can address that as a national governing body operating in a provisional temporary capacity. We can address those issues to the family of nations. We will in writing, we would have a structure of that this provisional governing body would be in place for a year or three, say 2 or 3 years, and that will be in writing. And in those 2 or 3 year periods, we will be facilitating large-scale community education and outreach as a road to facilitate to restoring permanent government that would be in writing. Why that is important? We want to get the intention of the family of nations. We must facilitate the formation of political legitimacy, the will of the people, the consent of the people. If we take the position that this is it, this is permanent, you will not be respected by the world. You cannot leave your people hanging. You must have a doorway. You must have a built within the structure that you would reach out to many of our people, that you would respect the principles of political legitimacy, that you would respect their will as this is their birthright too. You cannot have a structure and say that this is it, our people. You cannot have that. You will not be respected. And Shem talked about you must show honor among ourselves. So you must have a structure whereby you will facilitate unconscious Moors. So we can, with a few hundred of us or a couple thousand of us operating in a provisional capacity, whereby Moorish body politics, they will send up their heads. So the heads, the various heads of Moorish body politics coming from that's operating in the principles of political legitimacy will convene and sign the Treaty of Liberty, forming a national Moorish, a central national Moorish government structure in a provisional capacity. And we will have this once again in writing. It will be provisional, and we will outline what we will be doing in that provisional state and timeline. have benchmarks and everything. What we're doing is setting the stage to get the attention of the world. We want the world to hear us. We want the world to hear us. We want to show the world that we have a level of maturity. We want the world to hear us. We want the world to see what we're doing. We will get the attention of the world. That we have a plan in place to restore Moorish national sovereignty among our people, all right? And that we have safe, and that we will respect the will, the free will, the consent of our people. And we will not lock them out. We want to get the attention of the world. I give great honor and respect to Shem Malachi Bey. Shem.
Yes, yes, Professor, that's very true. The key thing is look. Let's look back. How do you control the people? You put up a structure. You put up something that they need. If you put up something that they need, and you give them something that they can survive every day on, most likely it's information, knowledge. And the problem is, I'm not speaking. And this is the problem that we have for a long time. We always hold on for a minute. Yeah, we always, it seems like the Moors are always learning new stuff, but never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Hold on a minute, man. Come on, this guy keep calling me. Come on, man. Speak no sense. Yeah, see, the problem is we have to come to the common knowledge of self among ourselves. We have not demonstrated to the rest of the world but only one thing, that we consider wars. Mental operating, institutional, conditional, special needy person. What you mean, Shem? Somebody that needs to be dependent upon to feed them, clothe them, educate them, and give them a status. Speak their existence into law. Speak us into law, but we can't determine who we are. We can't look back. We can't find our mother. It's like a child lost in an amusement park. He can't follow his mother. He start crying. The child start crying. Now somebody else have to adopt the child and pick the child up and feed the child, clothe the child, and the child have to learn a new tongue, a new syntax of language, communication skills with their new family. And that's what we like. We like somebody that had to be nourished. We go back to our mother. We find our mother. Once we find our mother and get the proper nutrition we need, proper protection, because our mother already set up things earlier for us to protect us and give a benefit us. So once you come together, acknowledge this in one mindset. Once we set the structure up, it can be small, but guess what? We still position now to help our people out. We position now to reach out further and teach them. And when they want to turn away from the system, we can show them how to roll over all the assets over to the government and protect their identity. See, it's protection. Government is called diplomacy. Once you put up a structure, we can turn over. We can not they come to us and reach us, and we can do government relationship and terminate that political status they got. That de facto political status they got, we can terminate that, and we can take it and we can put it back into the proper jurisdiction in Morocco and protect them. So now they once they say they got protection, what you mean? They have to go to the court. They work with an attorney being prosecuted. They got a counsel to represent them, or any kind of deputy or grand sheik or sheikess. Anybody can step up, or we can transfer the case to our jurisdiction. Then the Moors feel protected. Oh, they over in school. They got to worry about child protection coming and taking the kids, or the police running inside the building saying you can't do this. They got protection. They got diplomatic protection for their buildings, for their bodies, for their education, for their substance, for their food, growing their food, for traveling, operate their vehicle, all this stuff. We haven't provided for them yet. This is what they're looking for. We must do this. That's why we're coming together, so we can build a structure where we can reach out to our people so they can come under this structure. Come out of the rain, y'all. If you have a bad storm, come underground. It's going to be a hurricane. Go underground, but escape the hurricane that's coming. You can't tell a person to escape the hurricane, go inside the house, because the hurricane will lift the house up. But if they go underground, they can be protected. We don't have no structure. Remember, the ground, the 4 quarters of the ground is protection from any hurricane, destruction. Just like if you're around water, it's a bad fire, you're around water, the water protects you from the fire. We need something liquidated, something liquid substance to barricade ourselves with, protect ourselves from the storm we under. We're coming out of a bad storm. And this is very important. You cannot, if you look back, you ever hear the word the Europeans copy off of the House of Barons, the House of Dukes, the House of Marquises? These are houses. These are nations. The nation comes out of the house. The matriarch, the mother. Her womb, that's the house. The man casts the seed inside the earth. All the life is inside the woman. Come out the woman, not out the man. Once we understand this principle, we understand how valuable a woman is in the house. When a woman had 5 children, that's a nation. Do you know that? That's a nation. All the children need what? A place of shelter, protection, and nourishment. They can reproduce together and come up to like 9, 10, 15, 100, 200, 300, 1,000, 5,000. Well, you know, they're a big nation, a society, they're a nation. Shit, we haven't learned, we never taught this principle. This is what we're trying to bring back to ourselves, among ourselves. Let's understand the concept of looking back at the old principle. How we get here. How we think we got here. We come from a house. I had a mother, I had a matriarch, I had a father, I had a protector, a feminine and masculine. I had that. Well, how did I get here? How did Abdullah get here? How you get here right now? You didn't bring yourself here. You come from a house. What they call families, servitude. No, we come from a house. You know what they'll say, the family is so-and-so. They always use the word house. The house of Windsor, the house of Duke, the house of Barons. Why do you use the word house? They don't use family. Come on now. The Rothschilds don't use family. They use house. The house of Henry VIII. The house of so-and-so. Yes, they do. A descent of so-and-so. Descent of so-and-so. They pass the descending record down. They go to consequentity to the descending record, to the genes. When they say a genealogy, that's the genes of the man. But you come through the woman. So the woman is the most dominant factor in this thing here, the house. Very important. And by coming together like this, you know what we do? We bring together all these houses, clans, to form a society. Once we form a society, we got a community. Once we got community, they come together. We got what you call now political bodies, political jurisdictional bodies. And we can have like 18 of them in one jurisdiction. If we only come in peace, truth, contract, honor. If we do that, we all right. And justice, we're good among ourselves. Once the rest of the nation see it, wait a minute. These people sticking together, they bound together as one society. They fulfill the definition of what is called homeschool. Go on, Professor.
All right. The Shem based proposal and plan and the Moroccan Post School for Government and International Law, an educational vehicle used to navigate the various Moorish bodies' politic into one interpolitical central governing body. The Moroccan Post School for Government and International Law is the educational vehicle to facilitate the Shem Bey's proposal and plan by developing curricula to educate our people, the Moors, in political science, constitutional governmental principles, international law, including diplomacy, consular relations, compensatory / extraterritorial consular jurisdiction, central authority, consular notification, treaty enforcement, recovery of lost sovereignty, reversion to sovereignty, and post-millennium, thereby facilitating the national political unity of the various Moorish governing bodies into one Moorish Imperial Parliament Council. The ultimate purpose of the Shem Bey's proposal and plan, facilitated through the Moroccan Post School for Government and International Law, is to restore our Moroccan imperial government structure and therefore position ourselves politically to function the sovereign power once controlled by the past Moroccan Moorish emperors, beys, deys, pashas, bashars, caliphs, and emirs, By reclaiming our inherent pre-existing sovereign power and self-determination rights, we will be able to provide international representation and an international voice for our people, the Moors, who, in large numbers, are currently subjugated on an apartheid United States system of legalized slavery, evidenced through the mass denationalization of the Aboriginal indigenous people of the land. Furthermore, the Moroccan Post School for Government and International Law is educating our people, the Moors, on the Shem Bey's proposal and plan to prepare our people to implement government structures in their various communities. The knowledge of international law, political science, constitutional and government principle, and our history will place us in a stronger political and educational position to use diplomatic channels and international law in restoring our diplomatic relations with the European nations with which we have treaties. This will position us politically to stay in unity with the treaties as the law of the land and in honor with international treaties, agreements, covenants, declarations, unity, unions, and conventions of indigenous aboriginal peoples that form the compact with each other, and along with treaties signed with England, Great Britain, France, Spain, Sweden, the Netherlands, Dutch Republic, Denmark, Sardinia, Belgium, and the joint United States Republic of North America as the ruling principle and norms of the law. All right, Shem, you want to comment? You want to elaborate, Shem?
Yeah, give me a minute. Give me a minute. Hold on.
All right. The Shem Bey's proposal outlined a strategic plan for facilitating political legitimacy, the consent of the people, and the will of the people among the Moors through structured education, large-scale community outreach, and network. This is an outline. This is Chapter 8 of Moors and Masonry Part 2. Chapter 8 of Moors and Masonry Part 2. This is the outline that is in Chapter 8. All right. So all these from A to P is outlined, is further explained. All right. So we have each of these outlines, not all these documents. We just have the outlines of various documents and so forth. That's in Chapter 8. So the Treaty of Liberty, and we read the outline for that. I read the outline for that. The Moorish Imperial Parliament Council, I read the outline for that. The letter of political legitimacy, the outline for that is in here in this chapter. Government proclamation, the outline for that.
I'm back. Go ahead.
These are summaries, Jack. So we have the summary. We have the summary for the Treaty of Liberty, which I read. We have the summary for the Moorish Imperial Restoration Parliament Council. We have the summary for the letter of political legitimacy, summary for the government proclamation, summary for executive order, summary for the political legitimacy as the basic condition for legitimate government. How we come to salvation and redemption from the European doctrine of discovery into Terra Divina on May 4th, 1493, conquest and subjugation. H, restoration of international recognition and the restoration to more sovereignty. I, addressing the subjugation of Moors under the United States legislation of the 14th Amendment of 1868, the letter of termination of presumption and assumption that Moors are citizens of the United States and residents of the states in the Union. We do have that letter in Chapter 8, and we also have it here for tonight. All right. J, political body behavior, political behavior, and the people's participation in government outline. K, Moorish body politic formation structure. L, Moorish body politic formation, constitutional and government principles. Course 12 classes. All right. M, Moroccan Post School for Government and International Law. To get the 12th, the Moroccan Moorish Body Politic Formation Constitutional Government Principle course, which is constitutes body's 12 classes, is on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. It's just going across the stream. So you go to the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page to get the course. All right, and that's the free course. We have Moorish Body Pop. We have here M, a Moroccan Post School for Government International Law. N, Moroccan Post Media. O, Moroccan Post Newspaper. P, Moroccan Masonic Outreach, and the Moroccan and Masonic Gate newspaper, which is my newspaper. All right. Shem, you want to elaborate?
Yes. Oh, what's this thing here?
Objectives of Shem's Malachi Bey's proposal. Shem's Malachi Bey's proposal for an agreement to reestablish Moorish national political unity among the various Moorish body politics through political legitimacy, the consent of the people, and the will of the people. Shem Malachi Bey's proposal for a Moorish interpolitical government governing body that will be made up of the heads of the various Moorish bodies politic. The Treaty of Liberty as the governing instrument uniting the various Moorish body politics. Shem spoke so extensively on that. Moorish Imperial Parliament Council as the governing body of the various Moorish bodies politic. All right, so we read the Treaty of Liberty. We go to the next page. All right, we read. All right, here we go. Letter of political legitimacy. All right, this is the summary, outline summary for the letter of political legitimacy. To let the treaty nations know, we read the Imperial Parliament Council already.
I'm back in.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, somebody can text me and call me and let's line up. Yes, we the key thing is to make sure we come together so we can start doing our own media, our own newspapers, and our own schools, so we start educating and getting our people from being under propaganda created by the masterminds of this conquest. So all is all propaganda. So the problem is not going to be, the problem is going to be uplifting us out of that dead state, out of that dead conscious state that we're in. A lot of our people are in a dead conscious state when it comes down to natural course of government. They have no knowledge about that. You can't. I'm not angry at them. They just never taught it. It was never handed down. And we have to show the rest of the world that's operating based on the old biblical principles that our ancestors operated on as being a people. The key thing they learn: keep their people together under one system, one political system, and keep them interested in what they're doing. Protect where they at. Once we do that, we're on board. Once you show the rest of the world that we too can be recognized as the people, that's it. This principle always been acknowledged. This is not a principle that's swept under the rug. This thing is out the opening. It's acknowledged. What the people is. This is not swept under the rug. This is not hit under the rug.
Not the principle, not the principle.
Absolutely. But the strategy of getting to the concept has not been taught or broken down the proper way. That's what it was. It's openly, but nobody had the wisdom. What's going on here? It's like saying, well, I got all this seed here, watermelon seeds, whatever to do with it. But you never taught how to plant. You never taught how to build the beds, plant a seed, water it, and wait for it to grow. If you have no knowledge how to plant, you can't do nothing. What can you do? So if you have the proper knowledge and wisdom, you can't uplift nothing. You can't raise nothing. What you going to raise? Nothing. You're going to rely on other people to feed you because you have the knowledge of fishing or buying food for yourself or growing food yourself. So you're going to rely on buying food and somebody feeding you, preparing the food for you because you can't do it yourself. So we got to self-sustain ourselves. And how to do that first is get the proper wisdom and knowledge and education system we need. That's very important. Until we accomplish this, and Professor Abdullah right, you cannot be a body of people with a dictator mind, which a lot of our people are, very dictative, but to control people. Hate to say, I seen it. Let me speak to experience. What I seen people get this wisdom and run out here and abuse their own people. Like I see online, brothers doing stuff online that's not even protected by government. Online teaching stuff that cause a commercial war, commerce. You're erupting commerce of other countries. So you doing this stuff online, pretty soon they're gonna come for you. Where's your government at? You doing stuff that the government supposed to be doing. Then you as an individual doing this stuff, then you walk in the courtroom with no immunity, no exemption, walk in the courtroom arguing you or more. Then the judge will say, lock this nut up in a needle on his arm. Why? Because the judge is not set to deal with a body of a different status. The judge is not delegated authority for that. When you come to the courtroom doing that, you're disrupting their business. So they're gonna lock you up, put you in jail, give you about 30 years, and then you go crazy. That's why I see the principle of having a government. Let me say something. About a month ago, I had a brother, besides my brother Michael. I had a brother Abdullah. No, he called me up and said he had a problem with the courts. Now, let me explain to you what happened. I just walked this brother through getting petitions to remove the case of the Removal Act and based on the treaty and based on CFR. The brother removed the case. I want you to hear this. Removed the case, a petition. It went to the federal magistrate. They issued out the foreign numbers, gave a foreign number. He took it and put it in a notice of removal in the state court. He tested as a civic with the number, and guess what happened? The federal judge closed the whole case. The state can't be mad at the case no more. It's closed. Why did the judge close it? You know why? Because the judge said if you move on the Removal Act based on the treaty, on the CFR, the Code of Foreign Relations put up by the Senate Committee of Foreign Relations. They made the code for international law to force international laws. The judge said, wait a minute, this is international law matter. The treaty says that what? Only the council can hear that case, not me. No, not a state court judge. So the judge did was close the case. That means it never can get remanded back down to the state. It's closed. That means the state don't have jurisdiction, neither do we, the federal government. The brother called me so happy, man. You know what, brother? You know what you're doing, man. I said, bro, you set up, first of all, you took the 12-week course me Abdullah had for government. You got your flag, your seal, you go out in the community, you got your community put together, and now you and your people, government body went down there to remove that. The Sheikhs, he got a Sheikhs, went down there, authorized government officials, that diplomatic community, went down to court and said she the Sheikhs. She filed this notice of petition as a writ to remove this case out of the Removal Act under CFR. The case is gone. And the federal courts closed it. That means the state cannot remand that case no more. So you see what happened? Now, just imagine he went in state court arguing this, he got locked up. But by her taking the diplomatic channels, she bypassed all that wrong concept that you hear say, I so-and-so and me. Come on now, stop playing. You're in this world by yourself. You definitely start walking by yourself. You definitely ain't carry yourself. Your mother carried you. You came in your mother womb. Stop the eye stuff. Like you somebody powerful. You're not powerful. But powerful. How powerful you are. The power is in energy, is in the spirit, in the words, verbiage. Power is in your communication skills, your knowledge, what you know. That's your power. Spirit.
Our national unity.
That's right.
National unity. The power is in our national unity.
Yes, sir.
Our national political unity.
So the bottom line is, everybody in the world is watching and say, look at these people over here. I'm being honest with you. Nobody in the world wants to deal with these people over here. I'm gonna say it, I don't mean no harm. We consider the worst damaged people ever in all nations. No nation in the world wants to do any business with us. As a matter of fact, nobody wants us in their country unless they can kill us and poison us, or we buy food, buying stuff from them, ordering food. We only consider as what? Cattle, common cattle. Feed them and then slaughter them. That's all we are. So we might come to around to ourselves and realize who do we want to be? Who are we? Who are we? So me, Professor Abdullah, back in 2019, came up with these concepts. Yes, Professor Abdullah sat down, put our heads together, and came up with these concepts. This the formula that's going to take to help the people out, to give them some kind of standing among themselves, some integrity. Because even in education, they tell you, all of this agree, everybody got a right to a nationality. You cannot take a man's nationality. That's in the Bible. You cannot strip a man of his national origins. You cannot do that. The man got that right. I don't care how filthy he is. You got a right, or how ignorant he is, or how he been captured. You got a right to a nationality. What you mean? You got a right to say, I came from a father and a mother. This is my land. He does have that right. Can't take that right away from that man. A woman can't take that right away from them. All the nations in the world agree that every child got a right to a nationality. Where that concept come from? Old records of the seers, the prophets, the seers. That right is a fundamental right that's so established in spirituality, also in piety and deity. That rule of law can never be changed. Every child got a right to a nationality. You cannot change that. If a mother go in the hospital and have 4 children, at one mother, all 4 of them children cannot be deprived of their mother. You can say, well, 2 of y'all gonna have the mother and 2 of y'all not. You can't do that. All 4 of the children that came out of her bowels got a right to that mother, that one mother. Yes, they do.
All right, good point. 953. Let me read this here. Letter of political legitimacy. Some good stuff, Shem. Good stuff. Good points. To let the treaty nations know, and I want Shem to elaborate, that we are legitimate Moorish body politics that formed a society of ecclesiastic bodies and government structure, that we are descendants of the signers of the Moorish bilateral treaties with the European nations signed during the 15, 16, 17, 1800s, that we are not under the British subject status of the legal fiction categories of Black, Negro, Colored, and African-American Indian, that we have declared our character of nationality, that we are operating with a sealed flag constitution, population, self-autonomy, power to re-enter into diplomatic and treaty relations with the treaty nations and form diplomatic ties with the other nations of the world, both old and new states, that we have a map survey, that we are operating with a pre-existing sovereignty, that we have autonomy, power to determine government to relations among ourselves. I think it's supposed to be government. Next page, you see any more on the other. That we are legitimate based on the facts and merit that we will enter into the record of international community. Shem, you want to elaborate on the letter of political legitimacy?
Yes, the letter of political legitimacy is to let the rest of the people know the principles and concepts what we stand on as a people. Meaning these are not new, what we stand on. What we stand on the basic principles and concepts of the people of old that signed on treaties. Under the same authority, the same mindset, ideology of them people that signed on treaties, we're in the same mindset. Whatever the language saying in the treaties, that's what we want to forward to us. Just like y'all, when I came over here off the other side of the world, that came and signed treaties with these people you call indigenous, they are foremothers and forefathers. Now they let you stay over here now. Don't come and try to take us our land. That's the mutual respect of treaties. Even the United States Constitution honor this concept. When it says treaties are the law of the land, all judges, the reason why that was spoken because they realized that in order they give honor and privilege to the sovereign of the lands. I mean, the people that sign the treaties are the sovereigns. You're not the sovereigns, they are. So when that instrument, that agreement comes up in front of you, that is the law of the land. Why? Because upon the instrument agreement is why you here now today calling yourself the United States of America. There won't be no United States of America for the treaty of the British government. Won't be no United States of America at all. It won't exist because they will have authority to operate. The only reason why they got authority to call it a confederacy because of the Lenape Moors. 1778 Delaware Treaty, the Lenape Moors. These people took care of the United States, gave an amnesty and asylum. Read the treaty. I wrote this. 1778. Yes, the Europeans got protected by people that got burnt skin, like us. Melanated skin, took care of them. Took them on the land, fed them, clothed them, and protected them with their warriors. The army protected them. So we got to preserve this knowledge and teach it. If they don't teach it, see, you can't blame a foreign people not teaching your people. When we know this, we got a job to teach this now. What you mean, Shem? No, listen to me. When you go to college or you go to school to be a doctor or you go to school to be an electrician, you listen, you humble yourself to listen, to learn. Now learn the existence, learn how these people set their power on your land. You're the cornerstone. They're not the cornerstone, you're the cornerstone. They build on your foundation and turn around and kick you off your foundation. You get a Humpty Dumpty story. Humpty Dumpty sat in the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. There you go. Humpty Dumpty was the egg. What's inside the egg? A fetus. Our people. So there you go. If an egg falls right and crash on the ground, there will be no offspring. So what you mean, Shem? If they shatter the mother, a thanking system, all her children will be shattered. That means the egg would never mature. I mean, her children will come out the womb, of course, but the child will not reach maturity in the mind. They will never raise to a level where they become free as a free, independent people. They stay in bondage. And bondage, be tied up. What you mean, Shem, tied up? Never able to think for themselves, never able to know where they come from, who they are, and how these people get in their land. So in order to overthrow, in order to break these shackles, to be free, you got to free your mind to the syntax. See, we never did that before. They see one thing about the governments of the world. They will come up with their own definitions. They pass their own legislative acts, their own bills, their own laws, and they will tell you they have the meaning of the words. They will break down the etymology of the words. Now, let me explain something to you. They're linguists, the ones that make the words. What you call the grammar, syntax. They would take and make the language where it's going to control the people. Because they said we can't be at war with the people. In order to win a war, you control the language. Because the people got to read, write, and do business in that language. They got to do contracts. They have to talk to each other every day in a language, communication skills. So if you control the language, the war is always won. There is no war. The war only starts when a person wake up and find out that you're against them. Only way they can find you against them by what you did to the language. Once they wake up and find out the language is not for them, it don't suit them, the war starts. Now the physical war starts now. The mental war is not even exposed now. The mental war has been disposed. The doors are open. The closets are open now. Now you see what's in the closet. Now there's a physical war. What you mean now? Now we got to go to war physically now because they won't, we can no longer deceive them. So now we can't deceive them, let's kill them. Let's go to war. But guess what? They don't have to even do that now because some of us are so brainwashed that when the truth come out, we'll fight each other. They said, we got to worry about these people. They become to be doctors. They stick the needle in their own family, their mother, grandmother arm, giving their own grandmother poison. They put them in the lab. We teach them biology. We teach the biology how to destroy their people, not how to uplift their people, how to make fungus, how to take genes, cross genes up, and make people sick. See, this is diabolical stuff in language and controlling the mind. We got to come under. So the real reason is this right here. What we're doing is protecting everybody and doing, this will protect you when you start doing contract. That means that when we write an act, we write a language, when we start communicating, we can challenge the language. Put language on trial. Excuse me. If you want to bring a complaint against this, the language, you can't use the language like that. Who are you identifying? Well, we identify, excuse me, that's a pronoun. Your whole sentence don't have no nouns in it. The verbs are nouns. Are you talking about adverb, adjective in your whole language sentence? There's nothing real. Fiction. Somebody's dead. A language that they only describe adjective and adverbs and pronouns is the dead language. It's the dead people. Because it doesn't give any substance. What's the action? The thank you, the movement. Where's all this at? You need a real body, a real vessel. So if the language is corrupt, if they create the language, they control the board. They make the game of how they want to make it. And they control how the dice is going to be hit up against. What kind of dice you're going to use is all control. Mind control. That's all it is. It's all mind control.
Question.
And this is the reason why me and Professor Abdullah came with the concept that we have to, when me and Abdullah got together again, I've been on Abdullah since 2006. Me and Professor Abdullah met again in 2019, we hit this together. Because you know why? Because I was told that I was going to run into somebody to help me get this thing into a level. Because when I had a convention back in 2012. I picked up in California, Virginia, about 300 or 400 people come everywhere. Nation Islam, everybody coming. And guess what I found out? All these people came there, everybody had their own ideology, their own concept. That nobody wanted to stick to the common principle. The only one I know that stuck to the common principle when I totally and recognized it, Professor Abdullah. Then I showed Abdullah what I did with the world body, and he sent me back a letter to say I have to do it again. I said, Abdullah, I've been doing this stuff since 2011, 2012. I could never get nobody, a group of people to sit down in a room. Everybody want to control everybody. Now we got groups out here now talking about nobody can do this. Got them a gang of people going around telling them we're gonna stop you. You can't do this. You will never be recognized. See, this is the reward we get for putting out all this information. Slimy, dirty people that don't want to use the information to liberate their people. They want to take the information. Cause I heard what's going down out here now. A lot of these guys that got the information are former drug dealers, former pimps, former street running warlords, and they don't love our people. They never did love our people, and they was taught under the wrong mindset. So when they get this information, nothing changed. The drug dealer, mind funky more, the dope pusher, the womanizer, the same mind inside. He has not healed here. He has not healed there. They get it. They want to go out. The first thing they want to do is go out there and control their people and terrorize. Oh man, I can get a lot of money of my people, or I can take this. And they don't look at helping the people out, post-millennium, bringing the people back from a dead state, resurrecting the people mentally into to be alive again. No longer dead, put life back into, breathe back into your people's life. Breathe life back into our people. What they want to do is take it out. No, you can't do this, man. And you know what, brother? You can't do it because we got together. Brother, who is you? Who? First of all, I don't have a problem with you having a government. But when you got all the Moors people got together and signed the treaty, then you got street running thugs, young guys that have crazy. You don't recruit them because you brainwash them. You send them out to do anything. They assassinate another Moor, kill another government official because they're going to use you. The government going to love you. They give you plenty of money, give you immunity. You're a federal snitch. You're about a racketeer chump. That's what you is to me. I hope to hear me. You're a chump. The day you're a chump and the real government is getting resurrected, you're going to be dealt with, brother. Karma's coming your way. It's coming to you, whoever you are.
That's my man. We're going to open up for questions.
We have a comment.
All right, we'll open it up right now. All right. That's my man.
You don't want to hear the question?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay. Oh, but Shem, you left out a group, the brothers that want all these wives, and they're broke. Okay. Shem and Abdullah.
Right.
I had to say that. Shem and Abdullah, what is the name of the 12-week course you offered to the brother you taught on how to address the courts? Thank you.
Oh well, the 12th, that is the Moorish body power. No. That is the Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations. There's about 13 of them. The first one was August 24th of 2022. The Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. And other questions, comments on what was presented? This is just we will continue with this next week. All right. We got a lot. We're gonna. This is good. I wanted Shem to elaborate. Take us so that it's important that he did that. All right. So we can be thorough with this. This is very important.
Also, what we did was, in the government course, we took something that's so sacred to us, not to the Arabians. They used to build off it. As a matter of fact, they wrote a resolution signed by under President Clinton. They signed a resolution that all their government structure and principles and concepts came from the Iroquois Confederacy. So what we did, we took out the Iroquois the honor of that Constitution among our people.
That's a different course. That's the Moorish body politic formation course. Somebody was asking about the course that will guide them to what you taught the couple to deal with. That is the Moorish body politic. That's the Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations course. With consular notification, treaty law, treaty enforcement, central authority, consular notification, letter of rogatory, writ of quo warranto. All right, discussions. All right, yeah, that's the Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations. All right. Any other questions? We're going to take this time to fill questions now.
Before we take questions, I'm going to say one thing.
Yes.
Now, before 2019, nobody was given a plan and the science and the formula to bring these people back to govern the family of nations. Nobody had a concept. Nobody was teaching. Nobody knew what to do. All of a sudden now, everybody became a thief and a robber, stole from me, Professor Abdullah. The science of what we did, now they go back. They know everything now. They can do everything. They got coming to them. No, nobody got coming to you. You learn from us. Stop being the thief and the robber. Stand up, be a man sometime, a woman. Be proper with this. You had nobody with kitchen concepts but me, Professor Abdullah. Now, everybody learned them now. They know everything now. Now, y'all can tell. Now, y'all control everything. See, this is the thing we got a problem with. We got to stop taking advantage of our own people. And we're good for doing that. Go peace. Questions.
We got the courses on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. We this plan is in Mosi chapter 8 of Mosi part 2. We're just rereading from chapter 8 of Mosi part 2. So we are presenting, we are teaching, we're in structure. We're going to have booklets. We're going to have the courses, the Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations video recorded courses. They're going to be books. They're going to be books. So you're going to have the recorded course along with books. So we're very structured. We have the school, the International Moroccan Post Media School for Government International Law. We are structured. All right. So I want to thank Sister Najma for reaching out to me 5 weeks ago and suggesting that we, teach this on her platform. All right, so that and actually gets her involved on this level, and she's been learning. So this is great to have a sister to be involved and study on this level, who really knows how to put people.
Absolutely. If you go back and read the old the old context of a lot of the writings that they removed from the original Bible, the Geneva Bible. They removed a lot of context about the things the woman did to save the Moors against the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire. It's not even talked about. Even during the time of Persia. Do you know the time of the Persian invasion? Do you know that a woman was the one that delivered the people over here in Northwest Africa from the Persian army? You know how she did it? By marrying the emperor, taking over the emperor concepts, marrying him, and making him pass laws, decrees, protect her people. See, a woman plays an important role in history and help and minister protection and safety to our people. We have overlooked this, and the problem is the men want to step up and run everything, but you want to take care of women. You know, the sisters say you can't marry one woman has 7 kids by her and take care of your 7 kids. You got to have 8, 7 wives, and you can't take care of one. You can't take care of one wife and one child. That's a problem. I can do what I want to do. And you wonder why we in the shape we in now.
Any other questions?
No more questions in the chat.
No, that means Professor. That means we touched on all the stuff that had to be touched on. Anything that was touchy, we touched on that. No, I'm saying, Abdullah, hear me out, Abdullah. I'm not playing. Nobody had this concept and formula to bring our people from a mental grave. Me, Abdullah, stuck our shovel in the grub and birthed into them life. Let's stop playing games. What you mean, Shem? You can't get life to a dead. Yes, you can. Unconsciously. If you dead consciously, yes, you can. We can breathe life into you. What's the life? The words, education, breath, air, oxygen. Oxygen on paper and speaking and sound. That's life. You give people life. Come on now. We resurrected the mind. If you resurrect the mind, they have that conscious death they in. This is real serious. We got to stop stealing because none of y'all, I want these brothers out here, not the sisters. It's a lot of these brothers and some of the sisters going along because they're getting pat on the back by the brothers. No, y'all did not have the formula. I love Noble Drew Ali to death, but Noble Drew Ali did not have any concept formula to get the Moors out of the situation they're in. But I appreciate the man what he did. The ability, that's what the book says, that every man minister to the ability that's placed in him. This wasn't given to Noble Drew Ali to do this. It was given to Professor Abdullah Bey and Shem Malachi Bey. It was given to us. And I'm happy to do it for my fellow man and woman. I'm happy. I'm not stealing from nobody. One that about Professor Abdullah. Professor Abdullah don't steal for nobody. Abdullah's an honest man. If he's wrong, he admit he's wrong. I mean, he's stubborn sometimes, but if he's wrong about something, he say, no, I'm wrong.
I gotta get on him with that. But go ahead.
No. Abdullah is an honest man. If Abdullah wrong about something, he'll come back and say, you know what, Shem? That thing we was talking about, I looked it over, Shem. I look at it a different way now, Shem. And I kind of see what you was talking about. Abdullah's one of honest to me. He's honest. He got his ways. I mean, he got his way, but guess what? It's not against his people. That's what I can say. Abdullah don't rob and plunder and steal and go off and do his own thing. He gives freely what he got. What's more greater than information? Education. Education brings wealth. It brings strength. It brings mastery. Education brings mastery. Strength.
Political national unity. Political national unity as well. Political national unity among our people. Yes.
Yes, sir. Anything else?
Another question. Another question. He's pontificating.
Question from the chat.
Yes.
What's the name of the platform that have the course video on treaty protection?
The Moroccan Post it's on the screen, but been run across the stream for 2 hours. The Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Moroccan Post Media YouTube page been running across the street. That's the platform. Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. We have the Moorish Body Politic formation course. All right, I think about 12 classes, and we have the Moorish Treaty Protection and Constellations 101 and 201. It's on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Right up there, Moroccan Post Media YouTube.
Okay.
And my website is mooresandmasonry.org to get my books. Right? That's why this will be up there every week. All right. So go there, go to town, all right, and study and share it. Like it, share it, share the page. Don't keep it
Yes.
to yourself. Don't share the wealth. Let other people know about it. Let other people
Yes.
know about this platform. All right.
Once you sign the treaty together, the provincial government signed a treaty under provincial and national government. What's going to happen is each government, we're going to instruct each government to create a bureau, a secrecy bureau that does all the that does diplomatic relationships with all the member states. Well, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Spain, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of England, the United States Department of International Affairs. What we're going to do, we're going to exercise we got our own political forms we're going to have to put ourselves back in our proper jurisdiction and remove the Moors out of the political jurisdiction of the United States. Not only the Moors, not their body, their wealth, their house, land, everything. We're going to have it set up that way. We're going to teach the bureau of teach their government, these bureaus, so that way we have a body infiltrating our bureaus, going on YouTube or Facebook, giving up our government secrets, which a lot of these Moors brothers and sisters love to do, not train, not learn online teaching more secret. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen to you. They're gonna lock you up because you declare war. When you go out to convention online, you're violating the treaty. You're disturbing their commerce. The government supposed to do that. You don't have the immunity. You can't do that. The colleges got it. You ever notice the colleges? We ever see a professor go to jail for teaching? We ever see a dean go to jail for teacher? They're paid to do this. They're protected to do this. We must understand that concept. When you go on YouTube and Facebook teaching government principles, and you're not a government, and you haven't removed yourself out of the United States political jurisdiction in your body, what happens? They know when they come and lock you up, where you going to? Right in front of the judge. The first thing you start hollering, oh, I'm a Moor, I got diplomatic immunity. They know they got you now. You don't have diplomatic immunity because you're not a diplomatic officer. What people want?
Yeah, it's true.
What government gave you delegation authority to hold a government seat? What government? Now you see the court will get 30, 50 years, then you get weapons from sister so-and-so, a brother so-and-so, or they plead guilty to 10 years probation. They got a 5-year sentence between 10 years, 20 years probation. They're sold out. All the stuff you're talking can't save you. All you have to do is sit down and let the government do all the diplomatic relationship. You won't be in jail. You'll be protected. Sit home with your family, running your business, do what you have to do without being disturbed. It's very important.
All right. Any other questions, comments, criticism? We take those too. They come our way. No, they gonna come our way.
Someone said, thank you. I share all the time. Big smile.
Oh, thank you. All right, so that's for everyone. Go to the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Also, my website, mooresandmasonry.org. All right, for my books, if you're interested in getting them. All right, so we got 10 minutes. Any comments, questions, criticism? No more comments or questions? I don't know if I want to start because we're gonna end at 10:30. So, all right. Let me see. I don't want to read something that I want Shem to explain, elaborate.
Go ahead, bro, because right now we hit the point.
Let me read them. Yes, I'll be reading this, and now you can elaborate. You just go. All right. Government proclamation. A proclamation is an open statement by the executive branch laying down the constitutional structure and laws that pre-exist for the protection of the people. Further, the proclamation outlines the obligations and stipulations that the government or any branch of government or agency must acknowledge as the principal rule of law that based in the principle of the Constitution and what the legislature passed as the decision making, the executive branch acknowledges and will enforce. Note, example of a principal proclamation referred to as a memo from the board of directors of corporation. The memo is an opening statement presenting a well-settled policy that already exists and that is based in the Constitution governing that the corporations. Shem?
Yes. You know, every time when let's look back. Let's look at the United States. When Lincoln became president of the United States, Lincoln seen something, and most people don't explain this a proper way. Lincoln, somebody said, "Oh, Lincoln's trying to proclamation that didn't free us. He was already free." He was making an open statement. He was referring to something that already exists, but we never been taught the truth of that. See, in order for a president to sign an executive order or a proclamation, he's fulfilling something that already exists. He's making an open statement on something that already exists. See, we're being called black at that time. We were Moors, but we already was free. Negroes was already free. We was under conquest. So he made an open statement that something that we already existed, pre-existed before he wrote that letter. He was only writing an open statement that, you know, they free. He wasn't freeing us. The Legislative Act, Congress can't free us because we're descendants of the people that signed the treaties. What Lincoln did was realize that, wait a minute, these people are free. Look at Lincoln history. Lincoln represented Moors in the court. Please hear me out. This man was not illiterate to what's going on by us being called Negro and black. This man made a proclamation that blacks are free. He didn't make no law. The executives don't make law. He was making a proclamation of something that already existed. So proclamation is the form of saying an open statement to all the governments of the world, all the governments in your political jurisdiction. This is the law. This is how it is. This is the policy that we go by. And what we got to do is get to the maturity level among ourselves. That's why we come together and sign a treaty. Once you sign a treaty, every time we're going to do something in the political jurisdiction of a treaty nation, Moorish nation, we send a proclamation to that government of that Moorish nation, let them know of their commitment to that treaty and the commitment to the national constitution that we're going to sign. That if any of our Moors are there in your political jurisdiction, you are to honor them, respect them with the highest esteem of law, as if there was your own national, under your own political jurisdiction as your own self. So we would send a proclamation so they remind them that they signed the treaty, remind them they're parties to the national constitution, the provincial constitution, and this is the law, the policy that governs us on the land. This is the policy that governs on in land, air, and water. Anything else?
No, let's go next one. Executive order comes from the head of the society to enforce treaties, acts, conventions, and the constitution of our society, and anything that comes the society has as legislative law to protect our ecclesiastical bodies, to enforce anything that existed before the European doctrine of discovery, conquest, subjugation, and colonization, Inter Terra Divina of 1493, signed by Pope Alexander VI, and the Treaty of Tordesillas between Spain and Portugal, Peace of Westphalia of 1648, Treaty of Utrecht of 1713, Treaty of Paris of 1763, that's between Great Britain and France, Treaty of Paris of 1783, that's between Great Britain and United States. List of treaties in Article 2 of the Treaty of Paris of 1763. All right, the Treaty of 1762, Article 2 of the Treaty of Paris of 1763. That's the peace treaty between Great Britain and France. And there are I think 11 to 17 treaties listed in Article 2. That's the basis of that treaty between France and Great Britain. One, Treaty of Utrecht. The series of treaties of Utrecht are part of that list of treaties that's in Article 2 between Great Britain and France, right? So we talk about to enforce anything that existed before that. So we talking about, so that's the executive. So Shem,
Yes, yes, and show you Professor Abdullah is saying is right. Now, what happens when a matter come before the head of state, which you mean the legislature, and when the legislature pass laws or ratify a treaty or ratify a statute, when that statute is supposed to be enforced throughout the political jurisdiction of the United States, anybody residing in the political jurisdiction of the United States have to go by. See, we mistaught that all those statutes don't apply to the state. Yes, they do. You know why? Because the state enter among itself a compact agreement, an alliance among itself that when the federal government passes a statute or a law, is the government in their own territory. Yes, they agree to that. They so much agree that they can't even enter into a treaty with no foreign nation or between each other unless they get permission from the Congress. So this is very important. Nobody don't teach this. When that statute or that treaty does not operate within the political jurisdiction, what gave the United States the power to exist, the executive, the president, is the chief of command of armed forces. He's the general. He's the head general, chief of armed forces. He's the head, considered the head judicial officer of the legislative branch. What you mean, Shem? He grants executive order no different than a judge issuing a writ, a decree or order enforcing the writ. The judge must enforce the Constitution or the statute. So he does the executive order to bring in an existing to enforce that statute or that treaty. He had power to do that.
yeah, he does.
He can't override Congress. That's not override Congress.
It's not overriding.
What he does is he has the power to make sure. Remember, after all, it does say this, that the United States to guarantee every state a Republican form government. So if that's true, that means that if that Republican form government forms a central government called the federal government, then that means when they're not following the federal law, he got to file executive order to bring them back into line with that federal law. Yes, he got power. He or issue an order. No different than a Supreme Court issue an order to a inferior court. A Supreme Court issue order to Superior Court, inferior court, to the district court, to the circuit court. All goes in line. The order tracked down. The executive order is the only to enforce what's already written, established inside the Constitution or laws. Nothing else. It's no special power. It's just the same thing I said, the proclamation. It's only to enforce what's already exists. That's all it is. And make sure that that statute or that agreement is enforced to the principle of the law as it's written. And all the stipulations in that treaty is enforced. Now somebody say, well, why did he go against the states? No, he didn't go against the states. I don't agree with that. The states walked out of the Congress. That's a breach of contract. When they did that, they breached the treaty. Hear me out. When they walked out, the federal government, when they walked out, when they had walked out, the federal government, what happened was they breached the contract, the compact agreement, because they signed a contract under the United States, under Congress, under a new form government. The Congress, when they walked out of that, they violated the treaties. They signed Morocco, the treaty signed with the British, the treaty signed with Spain, the treaty signed with France. All these treaties became null and void based on that breach. So what happened was the states was no longer allowed to operate commerce in the colonies no more. See, very important. They was only allowed to go in a colony jurisdiction based on the treaty. But when they did that, Lincoln forbid them from export, import, for doing commerce, selling this stuff. He also forbid them from owning any land because they claimed their own land. He took their money system away, everything, their commerce. Because the only reason why he did that because there was a violation of the treaties, the law of the land. They could not go in and out of these political jurisdictional, no more colonies, operate because they breached the Constitution. The Constitution was signed based on a compact agreement with their parent, their mother, Great Britain. They also signed with Great Britain's sister, and brothers Spain and France. And they also signed with their allies, the Moors, us. When they breached that contract, they breached the contract 1787, 1836. They violated the Cabot Treaty. They violated the Fast Treaty. I mean, excuse me, the Paris Treaty, 1783. The treaty with the Spain, by treaty with France. So what I'm saying is this right here. When they violated that, as being the chief of armed forces, he had to go out and enforce that treaty. He had to enforce the law. There was out of compliance with the agreements, the law. No different than a contract. When you go inside a courtroom and you sue somebody on breach of contract, whatever, the judge hear the case based on what delegation of authority given by the legislative power to hear that case. Once the judge ruled on that and see that was a breach, what did the judge issue? An order of the court, a decree of the court. Because the judicial officer that forced the laws, that forced broken agreements, the disputes. He's the one who heard the disputes. In Lincoln's situation, Lincoln seen a breach, a dispute in the contract. What he did was issue an executive order, no different than a court order. He didn't need a Supreme Court, go to the Supreme Court like they do now. No, he don't need to do that. Once a violation happens, the president got power to restore. Like right now, the states are breaking away from the federal government, not because they're wrong, because the federal government is not honoring the Constitution. He's not guaranteeing the people a Republican form of government. He keeps saying democracy. And what happened is the states are getting fed up with that and say, no, the Constitution does not say democracy, so now you run a fraud on the states. So the states deserve the right, only the states that signed that treaty of 1783. They're the only treaty that can walk away from that convention from the United States. The ones that was brought in, adopted by the United States, they must stay. They can't walk away because they're federal territory. They can't walk away. So they ain't gonna teach this. We're gonna set the record straight tonight.
Yeah, Shem is correct. Article 1. Let me continue. Article 1. Article 1 of the definitive peace treaty between Great Britain and United States. His Britannic Majesty relinquishes United States viz. Viz means namely, and all 13 are named. All 13 are named. Let me give you a case. I want y'all to look this up. People versus Godfrey, 1819. 1819, New York State Supreme Court case. This is a New York State Supreme Court case. Doesn't need to go to the federal Supreme Court. I'm going to explain why. 1819, People versus Godfrey, Godfrey, Godfrey. Let me explain. What happened was a soldier, and an army soldier was escorting another army soldier who was actually a prisoner to the barracks. On the way, the soldier who had the army soldier in prison killed the prisoner. The army soldier who was the prisoner at the time killed them with the bayonet. Now this was an issue of jurisdiction. Now, does New York State have jurisdiction, or does United States have jurisdiction? Which one? Now, United States claimed to have jurisdiction because it happened in a military barrack. New York State claimed to have jurisdiction is because where the barrack lies. The New York State referred to the 1783 Treaty of Paris between Great Britain and United States. In that case, in that Article 1 of the definitive peace treaty between Great Britain and United States. Look at the language. Article 1 doesn't just read United States. It says United States viz. All 13 are named. Viz, V-I-Z, Latin for namely. All 13 are named. And what does that mean? What does that construction mean, Abdullah? Is that by naming all 13, which is in the Articles of Confederation, all 13 are named, which means that each of the states are preserving their rights. So that's what that means. So it was not relinquished to the United States. Each of the states, North Carolina, they're talking about the 13 original states, are assuming rights under the respective colony charters via Article 1. So Georgia State is assuming rights under the Georgia Colony Charter. New York State is assuming rights under the Duke of York Charter. That's the 1664. So each of the states, so Shem is right. I'm going to just that's the People versus Godfrey. That's a case that support what Shem is saying. Article 1, read Article 1 of the Definitive Peace Treaty. So he is correct. Let me continue. I'm not going. That 1783 Treaty of Paris. All right. Let me back up. Virginia Colony was granted, the Virginia Company was granted 2 charters, not 1, 2 charters. The first charter, you go to the map, you see Virginia. That's the outline boundary of the first charter. The second charter was, it expanded the Virginia colony. The second charter expanded the Virginia colony to what is now known as Michigan, Kansas, Ohio. That was Virginia colony. Virginia colony, because of that second charter that the Virginia Company received, Virginia colony became the largest colony. All right. The Moorish land that was relinquished it was not relinquished to the United States. It was relinquished to Virginia State. That was the Northwest Territory. The Northwest Territory was under France. France ceded the Northwest Territory to Great Britain in the Treaty of Peace between Great Britain and France, 1763. King George III relinquished that to Virginia in 1783, and that's 1783 Treaty of Paris. Virginia State, in turn, ceded it to the United States. Virginia State ceded the Northwest Territory to the United States in 1784. Virginia State has the right. Then Virginia State has the right at any time to have that retroceded to Virginia State, by virtue of Article, because it was never ceded, it was never relinquished to the United States. It was relinquished to Virginia State via Article 1 of the Definitive Peace Treaty. Shem is right. Shem is right. Only the 13 can do that. Only the 13, because the 13 was relinquished land. The others are not. The 13 was relinquished land via Article 1 of the Definitive Peace Treaty between Great Britain and the United States. Hence, this is why it's drafted in Article 6, the supreme law of the land, because that treaty, there's also personal right. Let me finish. The Duncan, there's personal rights that there were letters patent, as in Duncan, Thomas Duncan, Dongan, Thomas Duncan. He was governor of the province of New York, not the state of New York, governor of the province of New York during the 1660s, 70s, 1670s, 1680s. He was governor. During his time as governor, he handed out letters patent for land. There are cases that the Revolutionary War did not extinguish. This is international law principle. The Revolutionary War did not extinguish the letters of patent and any land grants or letters of patent under, this is colonialism now. Now that governors gave out. So this whole false concept that the Revolutionary War, ended everything, there's no rights. That was the mistake that the defense attorney, there's a case called Society versus New Haven, 1823. Society versus New Haven, Society of the Propagated Faith, of the Society of the Gospel of the Propagated Faith versus New Haven, 1823. The defense attorney, just like other people, just like these people who don't know Jack, the defense attorney argued that the Revolutionary War extinguished the charter that was granted by the British Crown to the society. That was the argument, which means that the defense attorney did not understand international law, because under international law, a war does not extinguish rights protected, that pre-existing rights. Just like you have the surrendering treaty. The Treaty of Grenada. Abu Muhammad signed the Treaty of Grenada on November 25th, 1491. That treaty preserves Moors' personal rights, because personal rights are the treaty does not remove the personal rights. So we got to understand, elevate our knowledge in international law and treaty law. The reason why for 25 years I was operating on misconceptions. And I really wish I had this knowledge even 15 years ago, where I think we would be further along. I wish I had began working with Shem 10 years ago. I think we would be much further along. I've been always able to connect with people, but in doing so, I was giving them misconceptions. That's not the case now. So since the past 5 weeks, I have had a much greater presence on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Y'all see me. And by doing that, I'm able to, because I'm known already, I've sold thousands of books. I have a greater presence. I'm able to reach out to more people. What's the difference, Abdullah? What's the difference? I now have proper concepts. So I can now, in reaching out to people, guide them to proper concepts, guide them to this. I've always been able to reach out to people. That's never been a problem. But I was guiding them to misconceptions and improper concepts. That's the difference. I want to thank this brother right here, Shem Malachi Bey. All right. So, Sister Najma, we can end here. We'll go to the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page for those classes, and also for my books, go to mooresandmasonry.org. I want to give Sister Najma a hand. All right.
Thank you.
She was swamped today, but she made it. She made it.
Yeah, yes, appreciate it.
Thank you. I think to end it, I want to read the last comment.
Yeah.
It says, we have to stop being cowards
Good.
Stop being cowards, hypocrites, and traitors to our nationality and birthrights. And
Yeah,
that's
she
so
ain't lying. Where Ruth that ain't lying.
everybody have a great week, and we will see everybody back next week, energized and ready to
We'll
learn.
continue this next week. Yeah, we're not done. We got a lot. We got other stuff. We continue this next week.
Absolutely, and keep bringing those court cases, Abdul. I can't wait to read these.
Oh man, you know I can spool off the top of my head.
I love it. I love it. I love
Top
it.
of my head, boy. I got it in my head, boy. Okay.
Peace and peace, everyone. And then next
All right,
week, go over the word
next
blessing,
week.
please. Next week, Abdul.
Yeah, next. All right, no problem. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Peace,
All right.
everybody.
Peace, love.
Peace.